Hey guys, this is Apple Gamer 24/7. I'm here to give you guys a review today of the new iPad. Now, this iPad that I'm reviewing right here is the black Wi-Fi only 32GB model. I didn't get the 4G because I wouldn't use it, so I'll talk about why I didn't get that at the end of the video. But for right now, let's just focus on the iPad. So going over the design of this iPad, it's pretty much untouched from the iPad 2. Exactly the same design. Really isn't too many. It really isn't a dramatic design change as it was from the iPad 1. Everything is still in the same place, nothing has moved. But the one thing that makes this iPad just a little bit different than the iPad 2 is that this iPad is slightly thicker. It's not by much. The only reason that it's thicker is because it has to accommodate a bigger battery and the 4G radios and this Retina display. So Apple needed a bigger battery to power all that stuff. So the sacrifice, they needed to make the iPad just a tiny bit thicker, but it's barely even noticeable unless you have the iPad 2 and this stacked side by side together. And also, it is a bit heavier because they have the heavier battery in there. This is noticeable if you're gonna read books for an extended period of time or just hold it in your hands for an extended period of time. It really is noticeable if you're coming from an iPad 2. It might be not as noticeable if you're coming from an iPad 1, but if you had an iPad 2 like I do and you're moving to this, you do see the weight difference in extended use. Now, the real reason that I upgraded from the iPad 2 to this iPad was this display. This display is a Retina display. It's a 2048 by 1536 display, and this display is probably the best display I ever used. It beats out the display I have on my computer, my TV, and also my iPhone. So this display is the best display I got as I could use. Actually, it's really nice. Just looking at it, you can't really see any difference on the screen, but I will put a picture up right now, showing you guys the difference between the iPad 2's display and the iPad 3's display, and you will see the difference in quality. I can't really show you guys, like I said before, on the camera because it doesn't have a big enough resolution. But just in normal use, if I were to zoom in on text or anything on the iPad 2, it would get pixelated and try to process it out to make it look better. But if I can get zoomed in and I don't see any pixels at all, this is a really nice display to look at. If you were to read books on this, they look like a printed book. Reading magazines is the best, especially if they're animated. The animations really pop out at you. I mean, it's just a great experience. What else do I have here? The screen is also very accurate in colors. I'm surprised how accurate it is. A lot of websites have been saying that, but the one thing I do notice is that this iPad is just a tad more bluer, in my opinion, compared to the iPad 2. If you guys agree with that or disagree with that, please let me know in the comment section. But I do see this display being a little more bluer than the iPad 2 was. The one bad thing about this display though, and in my use, I don't know if this happens to everybody or is this particular to my iPad, is that after extended period of time, like if I'm typing on something, and then having a graphics intensive app in the background, say like Infinity Blade, and then having Safari and Mail and all the other stuff open, I do notice that this display does get warm. It's not like a burning sensation or I have to take my hand off because it's too hot. It's just like it does get a little warm, and I do notice that if I'm gonna be using the iPad for extended time, but it's not really a deal breaker. It's something I noticed. If you guys are having the same problem, just leave it down below in the comment section. So Apple also updated its graphics and CPU chip for this iPad. This iPad has a dual-core A5X chip, which is a slight upgrade from the A5 chip. This still has a dual-core processor, but the graphics really got improved to have a quad-core graphics. So if you're playing graphics-intensive games like Infinity Blade or Re-Racing HD2, you will see the difference. If you're playing like small games like Angry Birds and other things, you might notice the difference, but it's really those graphics-intensive games where you see the power being used in this iPad, and they do look great on the Retina display and stuff like that. Just in general usage, I don't see really a big difference. I do notice there is a little bit of difference in saving things and opening things in the Office Suite or Pages app, if you want to say. But I do see a difference in like opening and closing things are just much snappier. And just in general usage, it's just gotten overall the same result as the iPad 2. There really hasn't been too many forced closes. I did notice a lot of more force closes on the iPad 2, but I think a lot of these apps are more updated for this hardware than it was back last year when the iPad 2 came out. Let's talk about the cameras. The cameras have been upgraded. Apple has included a 5 megapixel camera right here. It's the same sensor that's in the iPhone 4, And the only and it takes great pictures for a tablet. I'm not gonna use a tablet for everyday picture taking, but it does take some great pictures. I'll put some pictures up at the end just to show you guys what it looks like. It takes great pictures for a camera, especially on a tablet. And it also records in HD at 1080p, which I will put a sample of that video at the end as well. Overall, I really don't think this is a necessary upgrade if you're coming from an iPad 2. If you have an iPad 1, it's definitely worth the upgrade. The Retina display alone is worth the money because I don't think you could find a better screen on any other tablet. Also, if you're into 4G LTE, this is the only Apple device that is capable of doing 4G LTE. So if you're an Apple user, iOS user, and you want to get into 4G LTE, but don't want to wait any longer if you have an iPhone and you just want to get on some 4G, definitely pick this up as well. The only reason I didn't pick up the 4G LTE is because I won't use it. I just don't have a use for it, just like other people will. So I just chose the Wi-Fi only one. If I need to use internet anywhere else, I can just tether with my iPhone 4S, and the 3G speeds on Verizon are good enough for me. But overall, I really do think this is a good solid upgrade. The only thing that's the only one thing I can really is bad about it is that the front-facing camera up top did not receive an upgrade. It's still the VGA quality, and I think this needs to be 720p because I barely even use the iPad for video chat. I mainly use the back camera. But when I do, I would like to have a HD camera so people on your end can see me well. So anyway guys, that was my review. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Alright guys, I'm just going to do a voiceover for this part of the video. I really didn't record any audio here, but this is just the video test using the new iPad back 5 megapixel camera. As you can see, the quality is quite good. The one thing I do notice that's bad about this camera is that it can't autofocus that well. I don't know if this is on mine. I know a few other people's have been saying it's been happening to theirs, but this happens on mine. Right here I'm demonstrating the tap to focus feature that's found on iOS. I'm just tapping on the Xbox controller to bring in the focus, as you can see right here. And then I move on to the blue snowball microphone and start tapping the focus on this. And I think this one came out the best out of all of them. It's kind of focusing quite good, and I also did that depth of field effect in the background. And then right here, I'm trying to demonstrate the autofocus, but as you can see, it didn't sort of focus in. It didn't focus on my screen. That was I had to tap the focus, and then it sort of autofocused in on my screen. So I hope you guys like my review, and I will see you guys in the next video.